now you got Mecca Audio going. That movement is picking up a lot of momentum because you really into your music and you are bringing the community together. People are coming and hanging around. You're giving cats jobs. You know, you start making sound. You start producing your own sound, right? And then I'm just speaking from my recollection of being there. And then you start to put out music, and then you get one of the most famous hip hop chants. Ayo! How does that play in the life that you're living at that point? How does that come about?
You know, like I said, you know, I'm hustling. It's like, okay, like my brother got locked up, you know what I mean, up on Amsterdam and like 179, like 180th, you know what I mean? 180th Street. He come out the building, and when he come out the building, he had the key in his hand. He was bringing the key to somebody, you know what I mean? So I tell him, yo, take this downstairs. I was doing something. So he go downstairs and he come walking out with the key and walked right into the police, the beat walkers. You know what I mean? They didn't know who he was, so they didn't know he was on my payroll. So they locked him up and took him through the system. You know what I mean? So it's like the homies that was there was yelling, ayo, ayo, you know what I mean? Expecting him to say, all right, letting him know that the police is walking down. But my brother was in Virginia, so he didn't know what was going on up here.
Right.
So he walked right into the police when if he knew, all he had to do was say, all right, and dip back in the building.
Right.
But we used to use it for a code when they come in because remember, I'm black up in Washington Heights. So up in Washington Heights, they used to yell, agua, agua.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I started going, yo, you know what I mean? To let them know, look up. Because dudes used to always yell, unique, the police coming. And I hated that with a passion because you got TNT and TNT when they came through, you already know, TNT, big white boys sitting in the car, they necks, they shoulders is on the roof and they got to sit down like this. They so goddamn big in the LTD. When them white boys come through that goddamn block, they coming through at 2 miles an hour. And it's like they walking. So they want to see everything. So when the dude is yelling, hey, unique, you know what I mean? They hearing unique every time they come around. So now they say, who's unique? Who this dumbass nigga unique? Got everybody calling his name. He must be the one got the drug. So I told check, nah, nigga, from now just call me AO, nigga. Just say AO when the police coming. You know what I mean? And then, you know, I started angry like that, but that's how it started. You know what I mean? And I be like, I'm gonna yell back, all right, and then we just gonna keep it going from there. So then we got my man, big shout out to Sean Wall. You know what I mean? Yeah, Wall his name. Sean, Big Sean from Colonial. That's my brother. Sean used to have a deep voice like my man Todd One. Big shout out to Todd One too. No, you know what I mean? Todd One had a distinctive high voice. Hey, but Sean had the deep and he held that joint in his throat. You know what I mean? For long as a mother. You know what I mean? So he got real distinctive with it. So whenever, you know, he used to see me, he used to go, and he'd drag it out. You know what I mean? So a lot of people heard Sean saying it, you know, down the polo grounds and things like that. So they probably even equate that to Sean. You understand what I'm saying? But just like I talked to Gene Deal, the first time he heard it was when he came up to the Mecca and brother that passed, Grim used it in a rap. You know what I mean? Against the Mecca Audio crew, won the rap. I threw 5,000 in the air because he won. You know what I mean? I was so excited, and then still gave him his 5,000. You know what I mean? Because the winner get 5,000. So
I remember that. I remember he used to do that.
Yeah. So he put the whole thing together in a rap, and was like, you know, yeah, I'm gonna roll up on Mecca Audio and yell, so what you want, nigga? Cause that was our saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And then the crew gonna say, hey, oh, you know what I mean? And the whole crew already knew to say, all right. So they said, all right. So I said, oh, that shit is dope. So he won. I threw the money up in the air. You understand what I'm saying? But, and they still gave me 5,000. I ain't let him pick his money up off the ground because he's a man. But, you know, that same 5,000 I threw in the air, 90% of it came back to one of my spots anyway down there. But that was the first time Gene heard it, you know, Big Gene, you know. So the first time Gene heard it, when I was talking to him when I was in jail, he said, man, I thought Grim made that up. But it's like, with a chant like that, it's like, whoever you hear say it first in your neighborhood, that's who they trying to equate it to. Yeah, but, you know, the town know that's Mecca Audio. That started up in Club 2000. That started Mecca Audio. So they ain't even know and ifs or buts about it. But, you know, love all my people, but that's just the way it is, man. But that's how I got into music for my cousins in Miami. But what I was saying about with Brother Dave, with Uncle Dave, is that, you know, Dave heard about me down there with all the cars, the house, bought my mother a store, things like that. So now Dave reached out to me in New York. You know what I mean? So when he reached out to me in New York, he was, you know, I'll go by his house. He loved to play backgammon, if anybody know him. So he playing backgammon. He said, look, you know, I heard you doing your thing uptown, you know. I got something, if you want to play with it, you can play with it. This is how he talking in between shooting dice, all cool. You know what I mean? He said, I don't know how long it's going to take you, but, you know, I got 5 keys under the cupboard. You're going to take that to see me in a couple of days. I said, nah, nigga, I'll see you in an hour. You know what I mean? He said, an hour? I said, yeah, that ain't nothing. You're talking about 5 keys. You know what I mean? So he said, all right, we'll just take that as when you finish, you come back. You know, we talk after that. So he give me the little 5 keys. I shoot right up there to Broadway. You know what I mean? I went to 163rd, bumped it off to my peoples up there in Broadway. You know, one man brought it all. And I brought the little money back down to Dave. And
How much was the bricks going for at that time?
back then, he was giving it to me for 10. You know what I mean? He was giving it to me at 10. It was going for 15 on the street.
This and what year? We talking about 87?
Yeah, we're talking about 88, 89.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was going, because you got to remember, in 87, you was able to buy an ounce for $400, an ounce of crack. You know what I mean? From up on Broadway. Because, you know, crack was cheaper because they was whipping it. You know what I mean? But, you know, so that kind of became the price. And you got to remember, we talking about the Medellin and the cartel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't know.
Medellin and the Cali.
And the Cali. Yeah, they don't know what's happening on the street level. You understand what I'm saying? They don't know the price on the street level. You understand? So the Colombians come in and they drop it off Dominicans and then they go from there. So the Dominicans obviously was telling them that they only getting, you know, 8,000, 9,000 for a key, so they gave it to them for 10. But that was the crack they was getting it for after they whipped it up and pulled out an extra 700, 800 grams. So the Colombians is giving it to them for a little 10,000, 12,000 for the key. You know what I mean? So, you know, Dave came and said, man, here, just give me 10. You understand what I'm saying? So I gave, you know, that wasn't nothing. You know what I mean? I gave it a little 50,000. So I come back up. He said, man, that was out. Well, I got another 5. Take that uptown real quick and I'll see you tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I said, tomorrow? I said, hold on, nigga. So I shoot uptown. Now I go to 163rd. And I let them know, look, I'm going to get this new work. Because first, 160th. First, I went to 163rd, dumped it off. Then I went to 163rd, gave them the 5. And I got them open, talking about the work. Because this was pure work that wasn't even cut. They still had, you know what I mean? Like you might get the Coke then with the scorpion on it. Yep. Or the stamp bush. You understand what I'm saying? So it's still sealed. Where people normally would get it, open it up, get the compressor, put the isotol in it, you know, recompress it, take out, you know. Like how they said Big Meech and them was taking 100 grams. I read his book, you know.
Meech wasn't doing that.
Nah, Big Meech.
Terry was doing that.
Well, whichever one. I read it in the book. I read the book that they had while I was in prison.
Big Meech and the Black Mafia family.
Yeah. Well, what? Yeah. One of them was taking like 100 grams out of each one to do whatever. I read that in the book. But
his brother was doing it.
Yeah. But that's what they was doing uptown too. But I'm getting it for 10. I'm selling it for 15, and the streets are selling it for 17. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm good.
You wasting time.
Even playing that game.
Messing with it.
You know what I mean? It was faster to take him his money and bring it back. You understand what I'm saying? So after I knocked off that little 10 that day, the next day he called me up there and he said, look, man, meet me over here on 90-something. You know, they know where I'm talking about. Say, meet me on 90-something street, because we was down Midtown, you know? Not, you know, yeah. So he said, meet me over here. So I go down there and he take me in a room and he said, okay, this is what we got right here. And he opened up a room. He had about 200-300 joints in the room. And the whole apartment was nothing but coke. Nothing but coke. No furniture, no nothing. Just cocaine in this apartment. Lord. You know what I mean? Yeah, look. So he said, this is what we got over here. He said, now come with me. He walked me over 2 buildings down on the same block. You know what I mean? He said, okay, you're going to get the work from there and you're going to bring the money back over here. You understand what I'm saying? Put it in this building, but never put the money over here where you're going to get that from. When the room almost empty, you call me. I'm getting ready to go to Chicago. You know, that's when what the fuck? That's what I'm dealing with my friend Robert. You know what I mean? He gonna make his move, and Robert he talking about is R. Kelly. You know what I mean? So he talking about he dealing with friend Robert out in Chicago, and he want me to hold it down and just move what I can till he come back, so that he don't slow down his movement. You know what I mean? So he shoot out there to Chicago, and he leave me up there. So now, this was the most beautiful time ever. This was like June, because you know June and November, they got a drought. You know what I mean? In New York, where the Medellin, that's who run Washington Heights. Ain't no Cali cartel coming up there in Washington Heights selling nothing back then. Or else Escobar going back to go kill every goddamn thing in their family that breathes.
right.
But he ain't even gonna touch a hair on their body here in America. He gonna let them live so they can suffer losing their family for stepping on his turf. So so they not going up there. So when they had the drought is the time when I'm already up there. I'm secured up there. You know what I mean? And I'm not connected with none of them. So when they have the drought, they not selling nothing on the street. So whatever person got left over, the price triples, sometimes 5 times more.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I remember I drove up the block one day. They wanted I tell you, we're going for 17 on the street. So I drove up the block with somebody and they wanted 22,000 for the key. So I told my man, hell no. You know what I mean? Because Dave was out of town. I was finished doing what I was doing. So I told him, man, go get it from up them. But it was a drought. You know what I mean? So I said, go get it from them. So we go up there and he looking for it. They said they want like 22 for the key. You know what I mean? So he said, hell no. We was on like 141st Street. You know what I mean? 140th and Broadway. So I said, hell no. So we drive all the way up to 193rd Street. By the time we get to 193rd Street, they wanted 28 for the key.
So the price had gone up
Listen.
$6,000 in
No,
20 blocks.
Yeah, exactly.
50 blocks.
Yeah, exactly. You understand? It don't went up to 28. So by the time we go up, they said, hell no. Dude giving it on 40th for 22. So we shoot back down there, you know what I mean, to 40th, you know what I mean, to tell him, all right, well, let me get there for the 22. He said, nah, I want 32.
30 now. Oh.
Like, dude, I just left you. You know what I mean? How the hell it go up? You know what I mean? But at the time, they're not injecting no coke in because they took all the coke off the street. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So whatever you have, you control the price. So that's how I learned to always get my payment in cocaine. I don't want cash. Cash too bulky, too big to hide. You understand what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna do that. So, you know, when I sell mines, I'd rather get it in coke so that I get lucky and hit that drought and got a little 20, 30, 40 keys. When there's a drought, where you getting 40,000 for a key that you was getting for 10,000? Come on, my nigga. You know what I mean? That's nothing to even talk about. But, you know, yeah, but Dave took me and showed me the apartment and, you know, that's how we started doing our thing.
So you go in this apartment and Dave's got this apartment, what is it, a 1-2 bedroom?
Yeah, it's a 1 bedroom.
1 bedroom.
Yeah.
And there is coke, floor to ceiling.
Everywhere
Wall
you
to
go,
wall.
there's coke. Anywhere you
Jeez.
look in that apartment, there was coke. You know what I mean? Because they was bringing him up 500, 1,000 at a time is what they was bringing him because he was connected, you know what I mean? With the Cali card, you know what I'm talking how they call them? The Cali cartel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he connected with them. You know what I mean? But they wasn't allowed in Washington Heights. Now the Cali cartel, they was in Queens.
Right.
That's where they did their thing at, in Queens. So, Dave had customers in Queens that would do them, but nobody couldn't get into Washington Heights because the Colombians, the Medellin, and the Dominicans had that on lock. Right. But I'm already up there, so I'm good. Like I said, I used to freebase up there. Remember, I was freebasing there in the 70s.
Yep.
So the same niggas I was freebasing with, they done got out of it and they hustling now.
Right.
You know what I mean? The same stick-up kids that was freebasing, you know what I mean? They up there now. Some of them still sticking up in the whole 9, but they know my gun go off too.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So I was welcoming. That's how I was in your block, 157th Street with, you know, Ronnie and the whole crew and, you know, Chocolate, like I said, and Alex and Felix and, you know what I mean? And I did my thing.